Hey everybody, this is Josh with Tag and Tackle. Thanks for swinging by. I am out on the river. It is a beautiful August morning and it's gonna be really hot today. There's a light breeze where I am right now. Not a cloud in the sky. Generally gonna be fairly tough fishing conditions, but you can always catch fish on the drop shot. There are 1,000, maybe 10,000s, who knows, plenty of videos out there on YouTube explaining the drop shot, how to do it, how to rig it, all that. I don't want to go into those details so much, but there's been a few things that I've learned fishing in current on rivers with drop shots, particularly in the Oregon area. A couple tips I've gathered over the last few years that I want to share with everybody. Make sure your experience stays good. Again, you want the detail, there are plenty of videos out there. I'll share some of the things that stand out to me. Let's get chatting. All right, so the first thing that I'm looking for when I'm fishing a drop shot, I'm looking for rock. I am in an area where there's some rock, but all the spots that I normally have gone to shoot this video are packed with fishermen already this morning, and I want to give a little space while I'm sitting here not fishing as much. So this area should work. I know there's some rocks on the bank here. There's a little weed bed right here as well. Generally good fishing. It's a little drop off as well, underwater. We're in about 14 feet of water right now. I think this should work to demonstrate. We have a little breeze coming from behind us, and the current is coming from the front, obviously. So I think the biggest trick, if you're getting into drop shotting, especially around rock and big boulders, we'll go fish in another spot in a minute when it clears up. But I like to cast up current and let it come down and feel it the entire way. If you let it get too slack, your worm, your hook, your weight, everything's gonna fall down and you have a really good chance of getting caught behind those rocks, getting hung up down there. Makes it a very frustrating experience. So anybody that's done any kind of back bouncing for salmon or steelhead, almost a similar technique when you're in a lot of current. On a lake, there is always a little bit of current in just about every body of water, but on a lake, sometimes you can get those conditions where it just feels like it's totally calm. Sure, drop that drop shot straight down, let it rest on the bottom, and easy peasy. But in current, you have to stay on top of it a little bit more. So for those who know nothing about the drop shot, you have a hook rigged with some bait a few inches, usually 6, 8, 10, 12, something like that, above a drop shot weight or a weight of some kind. The idea is that this goes down, boop, sits on the bottom while your bait hangs up off the bottom, and then your bait should float kind of horizontally. It's a fantastic presentation. And this sucker right here is smallmouth candy. So I'm fishing with a, let's see, let me grab one here. It's not this color, but Berkeley Power Bait Max Scent. These are the flatworms. This one's a green pumpkin watermelon. It's been crushing it for me at 3.6 inch. This is a numbers bait. You probably are going to weed through a ton of little fish. So if you want to make sure you're catching something that's really tough conditions, that's a fantastic bait to use. You want to go for the bigger fish, you may want to step that up to a 4-inch or something else entirely. It's got a little bit more bulk to it, but you know, you're going to reduce your numbers. So what's your goal for the day? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just give this a shot. Now, you don't necessarily, you really want to know the bottom. You can cast this out and kind of drag it in. You can do that. But if there's any cover in the way, at that greater angle, you are definitely, when it's dragging along like this, you have a really good chance of getting hung up. So I kind of like to stick, unless I know the area very well, 6 to 8 feet out the side of the boat and upriver a little bit. So when you cast upriver, you need to know a few things. How deep is the water? How far do you want to cast? Like all of these things come together because the idea is to let this thing swing to the bottom, get to the bottom as quickly as possible while it's in the current. So it's going to be coming towards you. You let that weight, as soon as you tap, you want to take the slack out of that line gently and then maintain contact with the bottom through the whole pass alongside of your boat. So that requires some feel. This is where if you had a tungsten weight, this is just a stainless steel. If you had a tungsten weight, it really helps. You can feel everything along the bottom. If you're trying this and Just you're not getting any feedback from the bottom. You might be on something really soft, so not like there aren't fish there, but it's a little tougher to know what you're doing or what's going on at the bottom rather. So you're gonna toss this up and let it sink, but don't let the whole thing just kind of collapse in a pile on the bottom. That's where you get hung up. So you need to get that feel of kind of reeling it in, keeping the line, a little tension on the line while letting it still fall as naturally as possible, and then maintain that as you come along. Now, when you get closer to perpendicular to where you're casting, your line that you cast, if you cast up, you're gonna have more line out. So you need to be kind of bringing that in so that when you are right perpendicular to your boat, you don't have excess line out there and again, letting your bait kind of plop down to the ground. We want the weight touching the bottom and your bait suspended above it, however long your tag end, however long you left your tag end. So let's give it a shot. All right, so I'm going to toss it straight up along the side of the boat. And again, this is just to kind of keep the odds of pulling it along, you know, really far out there along cover and structure that I don't really know what exactly is there. It gets really hung up. If you know that you have a clear bottom or you know what's out there, go for it. It definitely works. But this is more of a vertical presentation. And so I just kind of keep that in control, coming down along the current. I'm not on the bottom. Yeah, oh, and okay. Oh, he got off. Well, we had an interested party. That's our first cast. I'm gonna let it back down. All right, now the current has taken my bait past the boat a little bit, so now I'm gonna find it. I'll let out a little more line. See if I can find the bottom again. All right, I can feel it. So now I'm gonna keep it. Oh, there's another little bite. Oh, they're just poking at it. That's what happens with these small baits. Good numbers, small fish, not always good fish. So that's kind of how that works. Now let's talk weight size. All right, so this is, I think this is like an 1/8. This is as small as I have on me, actually. The current's not crazy right now. The lighter weights, the less likely you are to hang up on the bottom. But again, when you're in current, sometimes it's nearly impossible to get your bait down into the strike zone where you really want it, right off the bottom with too light a weight. So you may have to step up the weight. If you step up the weight, that's gonna get your bait down in the current a lot faster. Allows you to actually fish the entire swing there. But you gotta really stay on top of the line and feeling the bottom. There's a lot less forgiveness if you let this thing slack up and crumple up in the bottom and just get behind a rock or a tree or something like that. So step up the weight as you need to if the current is calling for it, but make sure you're staying on top of that. So start with something light, get the feel for this thing. I mentioned tungsten is going to give you a lot more feel on the bottom. They're also a lot more expensive. I don't know if I'd start with that. You're probably gonna snag these up and lose a few. But yeah, let's give it another shot, do another pass through here. So I'm gonna cast it right up in front of the boat. I am, 15 feet, maybe 20 feet above, in front of the bow, upriver. Or actually, yeah. And maybe 7 feet to the side of the boat. So I hit the bottom. Okay, a little tugs. There's something. Little taps. I think that might be just swinging along some rocks there in the current. All right, yeah, some snaggy stuff. All right. Swinging right by the boat. Oh. Oh gosh, they got off again. Well, that's 2 for 2 bites. But now I'm wondering if we have crappie down there. I know there are a lot of crappie over in that corner. Oh, there's fish down there. See them on the fish finder. All right. So they're kind of, this is what I would expect. Above the boat, it's a lot more shallow, and then there's a drop off kind of right where my bow is. And right on the side of the boat is really where it starts deepening out. Again, we're about 14 feet of water. There's another bite. I'm gonna stay on this time so I can show people. Yep, there we go. All right. There you are. Third time's a charm. All right, we've moved spots. We're in an area now, plenty of boulders all over the place. I've seen a few fish right below us, so let's see if we can put this thing to work. Okay, so I'm gonna chuck it upriver a little bit. Give it a little slack. I got about 14 feet, so I know that it can fall quite a ways. Not quite a ways, but I know how far I can fall, roughly. And this is something you got to dial in, right? It just takes experience, kind of understanding. Then I'm slowly letting it go. All right, now I can, all right, tapping the bottom now. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep that line taut as the current pulls the bait and the weight down the river. Got to fish back. Kind of keeping it just constant contact. This isn't really a laid back kind of fishing. You can get snagged up if you're not paying attention. So just letting it drag along the bottom. Oh, there's a bite. Got him. All right. Again, hi buddy. Not huge fish. If you want to get huge fish, you gotta step up your bait. Fish with something a lot bigger on there. Come on, bud, there we go. Anyway, thank you all, really appreciate it. We have a lot, just about everything you need to fish the drop shot at tagandtackle.com. These Berkley Power Bait Max Scents are absolutely killer. Weights, hooks, whatever you need, check it out. Check out other videos if you want to get into more detail. When there's current and there's boulders all over the place, it can be really frustrating when you're just snagging and you can't keep your drop shot still like you're supposed to. You hear all the time, keep it as still as possible. Yeah, well, not in every circumstance maybe, and this works pretty well for me and a lot of the folks that I go fishing with. If you have any questions, hit us up. Talk to you soon. Later.